Hi, the purpose of this video is to demonstrate the automated memory image analysis included in option 4 as a new feature. Um, so basically that would be memory forensics option. And if I press 4, Columbo wants the path of your memory image. And as soon as I press enter, Columbo takes me to this option, which if I press Y, then I go for automatic analysis, otherwise to manual analysis. And that's the new feature, which is the automated analysis of the memory image. If I press Y as an yes, then Columbo, just we explained that before in the other videos, it uses volatility 3 to extract the data from the memory. And at the same time, it uses its own built-in pre-processing engine that organize and pre-process the data accordingly, so it can prepare it for the machine learning model. And that data will be piped into the machine learning model, and the machine learning model will try to make some assessment about the behavior of the processes in relation to that particular image. It will try to find suspicious behaviors or normal behaviors, and basically provides a probability or a certainty value for each of those processes. Now, as you can see, um, Columbo uh, provided a nice, interesting report. If you go back up, first of all, we'll give some path, some indication of those paths. Some of them are, according to Columbo, are suspicious, and some of them are okay. But what is really interesting, it will take each of those processes in relation to that particular memory image, and it will try to decompose it or analyze it to its path, whether this path is genuine or suspicious, using machine learning model, obviously, and it gives a percentage certainty or probability of whether this path is suspicious or not. And it will give some sort of a traceability path of that particular process. So that process is executed by the root process of that process ID. And it says that that process is a parent process of all of these processes. So and these are the children of this process ID. And it will take different processes accordingly, and it will try to analyze them. And as you can see, as we go further down, we have an interesting and automated report of all of those processes. So if we go further down, we can see that this particular process ID, Columbo identified using, obviously, the data was generated by volatility. It maps that process to this path, which you have this executable, hfs.exe. And the machine learning model of Columbo classifies this to be suspicious. And it gives a certainty of 71% of 1. Basically, 1 is associated with suspicious and 0 associated with genuine. And then at the same time, it gives a path of the execution path of that particular process. So that was executed by this process. Nevertheless, that process is executing this process, WC script or W script. And if we go further down, we can see that this process is responsible of executing a VBS script. Now remember, this 5116 was actually this process, which was already identified by Columbo to be suspicious. And then if we go further down, we can see that process is actually executing this process, which is this executable file. Now, this is where that process is. So that's the path of that process, which you can see is located in the temp folder or directory. The path of that process, as it was indicated by Columbo, is it starts from the Explorer, which is executing the hfs.exe file or process with that process ID. And that's executing wscript, and that is executing that. And that is really the beauty of this new feature that we have added to option 4. It automates everything, and it gives you separate sort of report for each of those processes. At the same time, Columbo generates this text file of all the processes were involved in this particular image file. So if we take, for example, I don't know, if we take, let's say, this process ID, and if we want to analyze it, we copy this and we go to this option. And in this option, we just provide the process ID, and Columbo, again, just like before, it analyzes that process. So the advantage of this automated process, really, it automatically analyzes all the paths as well as process IDs based on the command or the path they were used, whether they are suspicious using machine learning. It will provide some kind of a traceability, and it will try to find whether that process is responsible of executing other processes, and whether there are any DLL associated with that, or what DLLs are associated with that, and whether we can have any handles or anything like that. So that is really the new feature of this option 4. Thank you very much.